welcome to the Yo Yarn Girl podcast. This is episode number 4, and it's going to be a relatively quick episode. I don't have a lot of finished objects. My works in progress haven't seen a lot of love. This has just been a week full of just life. I think we all can attest to sometimes having that, and this has been one of those weeks for Lisa. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to first share with you 2 finished objects. Oh, got something funky going on with my hair here. Anyways, I do want to share 2 finished objects, which unfortunately, because of life, they are socks, because they're easy to take on the go, and I have been on the go, literally super on the go lately, between work and other things. Just have not been home a lot. So jumped on a plane yesterday and flew to Texas and flew back. And I live in Colorado. It's a quick trip, but for a really good cause, and I'll talk about that in a life chatter towards the end. So let's go ahead and get started. So I know that this has been shown as a work in progress, but these are now finished. And this was a pair of socks that were on the needles. I had finished one, I think episode 1 I shared these socks. And these are in, hopefully it's not being blown out. Hopefully the lighting is okay. I'm not using a light. I've got a lot of natural light this morning. But this is with yarn from A Girl in Her Wool, and absolutely love her yarn. Lauren knows I'm always stalking her website. So anyways, this is from her, I get her mystery month. It's a monthly mystery sock yarn. And this was from October, and I want to say October and September. It will be linked below for the exact months, but these are just, it's going to be a colorway from that month. Not necessarily has a name, but I use this from like I said, October and I believe September. And just a vanilla sock. As you see, I'm using the Crazy Sock Ladies technique, so I count every 10 rows and I put a light bulb stitch marker, and it does help so that you end up with an exact pair. Maybe a little bit different sometimes depending on tension, but you should end up with, the measurements are going to be pretty much identical. But just a vanilla sock. I follow the Crazy Sock Ladies pattern for her vanilla sock. Usually 9-inch circulars. I also use her magic loop method. These were done on 9-inch circulars, and then I switched to magic loop just for the toe, since you get down to just a small number. But I think I cast on 64, and I did a 15 round cuff, and then I just started in and just sort of went from the 2 different colors here, then took a big block here, and then did a big block here, and then another block here before I started the toe with an contrast color that actually it was a contrast to one of these monthly colorways that I got. And I will also have, this is also on my Ravelry page, so if you go over to my Ravelry page, you will see these socks, and I will have all the things that I did, but really no modifications. Probably some mistakes, but no modifications. So, but there's that pair. And really, I think I said in my first episode when I showed these as a work in progress, really love the colors. Not typically my color palette, but to the point now where I'm leaning towards this for a lot of things. So I will be wearing these socks. They're going to get a lot of love from Lisa. So next finished object is another pair with yarn from A Girl in Her Wool, and these are on my brand new sock blockers, probably, and it says Yo Yarn Girl on it, and this is from A Needle Went Through It. A Needle Went Through It. And I will link her below. She's on Etsy. Love her work. Really like these. But these are just some shorty socks, and again, this is following Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. This is just her vanilla sock again on 9-inch circulars, and I just made these shorties. But really like these. Again, this is from like November. It's a November colorway from A Girl in Her Wool. This is actually not from the monthly This is Dragonfly, I believe is the colorway here. It's just a green color. And then I used a contrast for the heel. And this is actually for, from, I want to say it's Brazen Stitchery. And she's also on Etsy. And I had gotten her Advent in 2020. And this is from that Advent. I still had some left over from that Advent. But again, really, really like these. And again, I used my light bulb stitch markers. And so I got an exact count. And this one I cast on, and I think I did a 12 round cuff. And then I did 20 rows for the leg. And then I just went right into the foot. I went into the heel. And I did, this does have modifications. So this one I used a shadow wrap heel, and I'm not going to show that one because it's got some little mistakes. Got some mistakes, that's okay. This is the shadow wrap heel, and this is Denise of Earth Tone Girls. I've been following her shadow wrap heel pattern, and I really, really like the shadow wrap heel. It fits me fairly well. Heel flap and gusset it fits me well. I don't like picking up stitches, so this is easy, and I really have not, I just haven't gotten up the nerve yet to try a fish lips kiss heel, and it's on my list of things to try. So I will be trying that at some point, and you will see that in a pair of socks that I do here in probably the next couple of months. But again, love the sock blockers, love the sock, love the yarn. And these are my 2 finished objects. So, and I have my name on these, Yo Yarn Girl. So I'll just go right into that. A couple people that have been mentioning my podcast, which thank you very much for those of you that have, mentioned my podcast, show the love, have people come over and like and subscribe and all those things. So I'm really, really appreciative of that in this community. But some have asked, like, is it Yo, is it Yarn Over, is it YO Yarn Girl? And I just say Yo Yarn Girl, but the Yo does stand for Yarn Over. So when I first began to knit, I continued to have extra stitches at the end of, if I was doing something in the round and I just couldn't figure out where is this extra, what's happening here? So I pretty much I taught myself to knit, but realized as I started going down that rabbit hole of wanting to knit all the things, it was like, Lisa, you don't know, like, do you really know what you're doing? So I went to my local yarn shop. At that time I was living in Indianapolis, and actually right outside suburb of Indianapolis, but I went to my local yarn shop in Broad Ripple, and Karen, the shop owner, she had a class, and she said, well, come join us on Tuesday nights. So I did. And I said to her, I keep getting these extra, I'm counting my stitches. I cast on the right amount. I'm doing everything right. What is going on? And so she began to look at my knitting, and she said, well, Lisa, you have a yarn over in here. Why are you adding that yarn over? And I said, well, I don't know. It's not intentional, truly not intentional. So it kind of stuck, and, we both laughed about it actually. And I learned from that. So in looking at, a catchy name or just something fun, because I wanted something fun, I decided to change everything up. I have Yarn Girl 67 on a lot of stuff, and actually where you can find me is under Yarn Girl 67 on Ravelry, Instagram. Here it's Yo Yarn Girl. I will probably eventually change some of that, but right now that's where you can find me. It's Yarn Girl 67, and I decided to go with Yo Yarn Girl. So that's how Yo Yarn Girl came to fruition. I decided to go back to some of my newer, I guess my newer things with blips or bloops, whatever you want to call them, in my knitting journey. Still have quite a few of those in my knitting journey. I guess I think I asked somebody when I was at a local yarn shop here in Colorado, and I said, does it mean that you've grown up when you have a mistake and you want to tink back or frog an item and start over? Does that mean you've grown up in the knitting world? And we just kind of laughed. But I do find myself tinking a lot and frogging now when I make a mistake, rather than just keep, you know, trudging through. There are some things that I'm just going to keep blowing through, and it's going to have a little bit of, it has extra love in it from, extra love from Lisa in my knitting. And that's what I tell folks when I gift it. So, but on to the next thing. So, but that's where Yo Yarn Girl came from. So, and I'm just having a fizz stick today with my, Skin Elixir. I drink a fizz stick from Arbonne, and it's in my new cup that I got from Knit Swag. Love, love, love this cup. I will have a coupon below. There'll be a coupon listed below. If you go to her website on Etsy, if you go over to her shop in Etsy, and she's offering my viewers a coupon code, and that will be linked below. But my cup here says Yo Yarn Girl's Knitting Juice. So I'm sure at some point this will hold an adult beverage. But today it just has my Skin Elixir and my fizz stick, just to give me a quick boost of energy to get through the afternoon. So that's that. Okay, and on to some works in progress. This has actually been a work in progress for a while. It's actually listed over on my Ravelry page, and it's a pattern that I think I got off of Knit Picks. I got it off Knit Picks, and I don't even have, unfortunately, lost my thought on the pattern name, but I will have it go across, and it will be linked below. Really, really love this mosaic pattern here, and it may be the Mosaic Socks. This is a yarn from A Share a Pair by Mandy's Makings, also another yarn dyer that I really, really like. So you will see a lot of my projects will be made in Mandy's Makings yarn. So like this, and like I said, I'll list the pattern across the screen here, and it will be linked below. I'm trying to think if I mod this as well, and it's got a shadow wrap heel in this one. So, and these are going to be shorties. So they are shorties, actually. I think the pattern is a shorty pattern. So really like that. And then I showed this in my first episode, and unfortunately it just has not received a lot of love, but it's going to, this is going to become my 30 minutes of knitting. And I a lot of times do my 30 minutes in the evening, not in the morning. I do get up very, very early in the morning, and I prefer to work on socks. So my 30 minutes in the morning usually is on socks. Might get some of this, but this is usually easier for me to do in the evenings because I have to lay the pattern out because it's cables. So this is going to be, I am taking part in the MKAL that the Crazy Sock Lady and Sock Witchery have going on, and it's a cable MKAL. And this is where I was the last time that I showed this, which was episode 1. So it's been a few weeks back, and this is where I am now. So again, not a lot of love, but it's coming along. And like I said, this is going to become my 30 minutes of knitting. This MKAL goes until June 1st. So I do plan on trying to get this done by June 1st. And I think, it says, but coffee first on my progress keeper here. And that is very true. I always want to have my coffee before I start my knitting. So that is that one. And then I have a couple of really old works in progress that I wanted to show, because these are, one, I'm not gonna frog it. I've got the one that's finished, and then I have this one. This has been on the needles for quite some time, but I love, love, love the yarn. And I definitely am gonna finish this because I like the sock. And this is a pattern by the Crazy Sock Lady. It's her breakfast morning or breakfast coffee sock pattern, and it's kind of a rib. It's a 6-row repeat, and I will list the pattern across the screen here. But love the yarn. I got this yarn off of Etsy, and they changed their name. They had been one name, and they changed their name to something else. She is still dyeing yarn, so I will link it below, but the name did change from when I initially got this yarn. And this is the second sock. I will insert a picture of the first sock that is finished, because I have finished one sock. So, and you know what? I'm going to grab it because it's just across the room. I don't know why I didn't bring it over here. Let me quickly grab that. Okay, I'm back. So here's the first finished one. And again, no mods. I did this exactly as the pattern says, and it's got the slip stitch heel flap and gusset. So, but really, I love the colors. Again, for those of you that don't know, purple is my thing. So I like purples, pinks. I tend to gravitate to that. That is my color palette, and really like this. Liked how it knitted up. And so I will finish this one. Sorry, my long end. This was, like I said, a while ago. So as you see, I didn't estimate very well, and I have a really long tail there for my long tail cast on. But really like this. So those will be done, I'm sure, by my next podcast. I plan to have those completed, and hopefully we'll be wearing them. So because I am showing some works in progress and just stuff has not gotten a lot of love, there is one thing that I wanted to share. This will at some point probably be frogged. If I keep it, it would just be to keep just for laughs at a later date. But this is my first attempt at a sweater. It's the flax, and I want to say, because I know this was in Florida, I started to knit right before I moved from Indiana to Florida, and then in Florida, I started really taking off with the knitting, and of course, at that point just knew I could knit a sweater. Not super experienced, but I put a sweater on the needles, and I got fairly far. But then it was time to do sleeves, and I just really didn't know where to go with sleeves at that time. I had no experience with sleeves. So I kind of put it aside and I started knitting other things, and I just never went back to it. The other thing that kind of drew me away from it, I started ordering different types of yarn. At that time, I was doing yarn, and nothing wrong with that, but I was buying a lot of yarn from big box stores at the time. And then I was hipped on to indie dyers. And so then I started doing a lot of ordering from indie dyers and just got into different yarns. But my oldest WIP is this attempt at my flax. So, and this is just this is Lion's brand. Yeah, this is Lion's brand, and this may be Peyton's wool. This is Lion's brand Woolies, I know that. And then this is definitely a Peyton's. I don't know the exact name for it, but I think it's just their classic wool is what it is. So really like it, actually. And I may do something, I may color block it and do something different with the sleeves and color block the sleeves. Right now, today, I'm saying I'm going to probably frog it. And that was weird with the coloring. I'm going to frog it, and I don't know if I will repurpose the wool or not, but I might. But then again, I may add some sleeves to it, color block sleeves, and it'll be something that I wear around the house more like a sweatshirt type sweater. But it was my first attempt at a sweater. I did put the sleeves on waste yarn, and then I just got super nervous on picking them up. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it's all good. So as they say, I'm the boss of my knitting, so I get to do what I want. So something else that's really been on my heart to do, and that's just knitting for, knitting is purposeful for me. It's relaxing for me. I love the finished product. I'm loving wearing my socks. At one time, it was just I would knit and I would kind of set it aside. Now I'm really liking knitting and wearing the finished garment. So I last week was watching a couple of podcasts and found it super interesting about some people that knit and they leave things around, or I guess it was someone who talked about knitting a hat, and they had left the hat and put a note, if you found this is yours. And I thought, oh, how cute is that you would knit a hat and purposely leave it somewhere and, let that go to somebody's home, to another person that would hopefully enjoy it. And you've left a note, so it would be hopefully meaningful that somebody's made this by hand, and you would take it and make good use of it. So I started thinking, and I'm like, wow, that's such a neat idea. what's something that I could do that would be meaningful and it would have a purpose. So I wrote in my notes because I didn't want to forget. Um, and it's really about knitting for a cause. So, homelessness is a real thing, and it's a real thing even in this country. And it really saddens me to think that there are people out there that are homeless. And, there's lots of debates on the topic, and I even have some of my own personal views on, real, not real, and the whole nine. And I'm not going to get into that on this podcast. But I started thinking, and I'm like, you know what? What about socks for strangers? And I just think that's so, I mean, to me, it would just, whether or not the person understands that this was made with somebody's two hands and the time that goes into it, I just think it would mean something to me. So my hope would be that somebody would appreciate the socks and realize that, wow, somebody made these and, they were made for me. You don't know that person, but you do know that person because now you're connected because they've picked up your socks. So I don't know. I'm thinking about doing some sort of a campaign or just some sort of a knit along that would be socks for strangers. And for those of us that are knitting socks, knit up a pair of socks. A lot of times, like I'll knit something up, I'll knit up a pair of socks and I don't love the yarn after. I don't see myself wearing it, and I could gift it to somebody, yes, but why not gift it to a stranger? So then I thought about, I'm gonna leave a note and leave the socks just somewhere, whether it's on a bench downtown, whether it's in a store, so like not necessarily a store, but like in a restaurant, you leave it in the seat when you leave, and you have a card with it that says, these socks have been hand knit by Yo Yarn Girl, and I want them to, warm your feet. I'll probably think up some little saying to go with it, but I just thought that would be so neat. So, leave a comment below, whether you like it, it's silly, someone's already doing it. And if they are, that's great. I would love to be a part of that, but I really think it would be so neat to do. So Socks for Strangers, it's coming to a theater near you. So let me know what you think though. I really, really like the idea of that. So I do want to kind of do that. One last thing before I head out here is there's lots of new things that are going to be coming to the channel. So Yo Yarn Girl is, it's taking off the way I want it to take off. I would like to be able to have an episode every week, but life's just not going to allow that. So right now I'm trying to do every 2 weeks and hope I can stick to that schedule. And yeah, so that's the plan. It's every 2 weeks I'm recording. And we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. But there are a lot of new things coming for the podcast, and I can't wait to share them with you. I'm super duper excited. These are just things that all of a sudden, as I've started this journey, I'm like, oh my gosh, what about that? And squirrel, and what about that? So, which is why a lot of my knitting has just taken a back seat, because I do have things that are happening. And so I'm concentrating on that. And then there may be a move in the future as well. We'll see, and I'll talk more about that later, in another podcast actually. So, but again, live chatter, I said I was going to share a little bit. So those of you that were just here for the knitting is pretty much, it's done. I am going to mention some podcasts that I watched and I would like you to go and check out. So, but some life things, like I said, I was on a plane yesterday, flew to Texas, flew back to Colorado, and went for a really, really exciting event. It was a twofold visit for me, but the most exciting thing was I have a girlfriend that has just become a flight attendant, and she asked me to pin her wings for her. So I went to Houston to her graduation ceremony to pin her wings. Super duper big honor, and I was so excited to do that. I was a little nervous to be up on stage. I don't like that, but was so happy to be there and be a part of that with her. So that's what took me to Texas yesterday, a part of what took me to Texas yesterday, and it was just a in and out trip. So yeah, there's probably some bags today. So, which is why I did not record. I normally record and upload on Wednesday or Thursday, and I just had too many things going on and I wasn't able to get that done. So that's that. So let me look at my notes here, because I think I did mention in my last episode, but if you haven't had an opportunity, check out Kuria Knits, Erin at Kuria Knits. And then another podcast that I just came up on, which is really, really neat. And they've got several episodes, but they are under 1,000 subscribers. Sorry, how rude. My neighbor just left and he has a loud truck. Just rude. No, he's a great guy. And then another podcast that I just came about was Purled in Texas. And again, I'm just going to say the word Texas keeps coming up. So stay tuned. But the podcast is Purled in Texas, and it's 3 ladies, and super cute. Loved it, and kind of started binge watching that. So, and then again, I think I shared on my last one, and they gave me a really big shout out, and I'm just so thankful, is Sweet Pea and Chickadee. So it's a mother-daughter, and said the daughter is now crocheting, and I actually shared with them that I want to be like Brooke when I grow up, because I want to learn to crochet. So I can chain and do some not a lot. I can do a chain. I can do a single crochet, I believe, but I'm not a crocheter, but that is something on my list of things to tackle in 2022, and that is to learn how to crochet. I would like to do a granny stripe blanket with a lot of my scraps. I have tons and tons of scraps, so I would like to do a granny striped blanket. So those are just some little things there. I was gonna say, I know I probably had some new acquisitions for this week. One would be my sock blockers. I did get my cup from Knit Swag. Again, check out the links below for that, for the coupon code for that. And then I'm wearing my Heidi and Lana stitch marker necklace. It's got purple and pink little stitch markers there that I can attach to my works. So really like this. So great little piece. Till next time, happy knitting.